Greetings, survivors and friends, SHADOWFRAX here, bringing you all the noteworthy news from this week's Rust development. And first, as a prelude to the debut of Rust's first paid DLC, we're currently able to craft all 10, count them, of the new musical instruments for free over on staging, which should give us time to key up and guitar act together before they splash down officially on the 5th of December. You can wishlist the DLC right now on Steam in advance, link below, and the whole ensemble will set you back $10, although there will be an initial discount off of that. Okay, you say, that's all well and good, but I'm not a role player. Well, didn't you hear? Rust is a role-playing game now. Look, PlayStation said so. It's there in blue and white, but more about that in a moment. Our 10 new audio warfare devices and their crafting costs are as follows. In the brass and woodwind section we have the sousaphone, which costs 100 frags, the plumber's trumpet at 75, and the pan flute, which costs 20 frags and 5 cloth. On strings there's the jerry can guitar at 25 wood and 50 frags, the shovel bass at 50 wood and 75 frags, and the wheelbarrow piano, which will set you back the most at 200 wood plus 100 frags. Lastly, in percussion we have the cowbell, which costs 35 frags, the canbourine at 25, the junkyard drum kit for 200 wood and 100 frags, and the xylobone, which needs 50 bones, which is about 4 per human skeleton if you think about it. And that's a cracking deal. As I say, you can currently craft them all on staging and try to break them before the December the 5th patch, after which they will become DLC only. However, it has been confirmed in a recent blog that although ownership of the DLC will be required to craft them, anyone who gets hold of one will be able to play it, so murdering a player for his cowbell is a-okay. As far as playing them goes, the default note bindings are to the numpad, with 1 through to 7 equating to A through to G, with numpad plus giving access to sharps and pressing enter, shifting everything up an octave for that all-important key change. There's also a UI display for some of the instruments which shows your bindings in case you forget. If you want, you can bind further keys to include sharps / flats and octave modifiers, but if you want a far less unwieldy system, then there is indeed MIDI support, which can be switched on via the experimental tab. Also, note, the cowbell and canbourine are controlled via mouse clicks, and if you hold down the right mouse button on some of the instruments, you can play an inbuilt tune on them. Some other things to note are that the original acoustic guitar we all know and love is slightly more expensive to craft now, but has been switched over to this note system too, although it will remain free to craft for everyone, because after all, some of the best music has been made by peasants. Now, before you start fretting about the incoming auditory onslaught and frantically searching Amazon for the best deal on a lifetime supply of earplugs, you'll be glad to know that there is in fact a separate volume slider which will control how much you hear of all of these. Phew. If only everything in life had one of those. Oh, and you can pick up deployable instruments such as the drum kit with your hammer as long as you have tool cupboard auth, but sadly you can't put them inside the scrap heli, which is a shame as Ride of the Valkyries sounds lovely on the old Aunt Joanna. A lot of work and fine-tuning has clearly gone into all of this, but what do you think? And will you be splashing out on the DLC? Let me know in the comments. In other changes, as mentioned last week, Gary did a lot of work to let us see our leggies when we look down now, and this is currently live on staging. There is a censorship cube included if you want, and if you'd like to see the hellishly deformed character model that makes all this possible, which you should never actually have to see, then head on over to Gary's blog for a full rundown. Link in the description. Something else he's been up to is adding a whole barrel full of admin quality of life improvements, including some new convars such as Admintime to make it always daytime for admins regardless of what others are seeing, killplayer, which allows them to murder a player of their choice, ouch, some changes to mute commands, and some better info when players join, are kicked, or the server restarts, and I'll stick all the details of these in the description for you. In optimization, there is ongoing work on something called the world grid and world streaming, which in a nutshell, I'm told, optimizes the amount of faraway objects that exist in the world at any given time, which reduces RAM usage by around 400 meg and makes the physics system a fair bit faster, leading to higher FPS overall. At least that's the hope, so we'll see how it goes. There were some more fixes to horse movement and tree markers, so they should no longer jump to the other side of the trunk. That's markers, not horses. Also, other changes to prevent being able to see through water when jumping or using free look on a boat, plus work to improve hair meshes, and of course the usual longer term work on HDRP and vehicles, both of which we're still waiting for. But stay subscribed and tuned in here, as I'll bring you more info on these as soon as I get it. Lastly, judging by your comments and likes, most of you are feeling positive about the recently announced console version, and although many of your burning questions are yet to be answered officially, some details have dribbled out, most notably that PS4 players will be able to rent their own servers, and I'm sure the other gaps in our knowledge will be plugged before too long. Why not leave me a comment with the questions you want answered most about the console version down below. Don't forget, I stream on Twitch 3 times a week, including Fridays, so follow the link and join me there now. If you can support this channel on my Patreon and help me to keep functioning, that would be most appreciated. Big props to those who are doing so already. You can also join me on Twitter, Facebook, Discord, and my Steam group to keep up to date. And I shall catch you all soon, but in the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio. And that's a cracking deal.